Okay, so welcome back to all of you guys. I apologize for the little bit of time adjustment for today. Typically, I'm right on time with all these different things, but today's class, a little bit different. We're kind of went a little bit over. You guys had a lot of questions, which is completely fine. All the questions you guys ask is wonderful because it shows that you're really interested in learning the teaching. So never hesitate to ask a question. And then usually when I start class, if I say I'm starting class at 2, I usually will start right at 2. But today I'm kind of working with a student who we're going to be remodeling the bathrooms here for us, because as you guys probably saw, the bathrooms are pretty run down. But we've had somebody that was willing to help us to be able to donate some funds to be able to help us redo these rooms, which is going to make it nice for all of us and make it nice for the future generations as well. So I'm taking some time to kind of look at that and get that organized so that I can make some nice bathrooms for you guys. So thank you guys for understanding a little bit of difference in time than what I said, but typically you're going to see that I start class right at a specific time and restart it at a specific time. So you guys will get used to that as we go forward. But what we're going to do this afternoon is we're going to start with chanting and meditation. And then afterwards, I'm just going to go through an overview of this particular topic because I can actually teach it to you in a relatively short period of time. Even though I normally talk for about a good hour on this topic, I can actually do it in about 30 minutes and help you guys understand it that way too. But let's be sure we do our meditation. So I'm going to ease into meditation with the chanting. If you guys, would like to chant along, you've got the chanting sheets over there. And for those of you guys online, if you'd like to chant along, if you go to buddhadailywisdom.com and click on free books, down towards the bottom, you'll see the daily chants that we do. And then after the chanting, I'll come in with the guidance. There'll be that period of time where it's just quiet and we're meditating together. And then we'll come out with the chanting as well. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami Savakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vichacharanang Sammuno Sakhato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusarang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, in the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thoughts, label them, analyze them, judge them, or even try to figure out where they're coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. ระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวาพุทธังภะคะวันตังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิ สุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมโมโนสคาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสรังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help you guys understand this next topic of the three poisons of craving, anger, and ignorance. Because this morning when we were talking about the Four Noble Truths, you guys learned about craving, desire, attachment, the longing, the yearning in the mind. This is the cause of all discontent feelings. That's like a window into understanding the unenlightened mind, is understanding the Four Noble Truths. But the Buddha has deeper teachings that goes even deeper than that. That's just like the beginning, just to kind of get you started. But there's multiple teachings where he teaches in these layers, and you go deeper and deeper into the understanding of what's going on in the mind, so that you understand not only what the problem is, but you understand how to solve it too. So here with the three poisons, I'm going to deepen your understanding and broaden it about what is the actual problems going on in the unenlightened mind. And then I'm going to show you some more of the solutions of how to actually fix this. As I was mentioning this morning, when we were talking about the 10 fetters, that's the deepest level of detail that the Buddha has about what's plaguing the unenlightened mind. There are 10 individual pollutions that the Buddha discovered in the mind, and that's what you're working to uproot and eliminate out of the mind. We're not going to be talking about those in this course because I introduced them in the Foundation and the Path to Enlightenment course, and then in the next course, the Experiencing the Jhanas and the 4 stages of enlightenment, we go into that in a lot more detail. And then in the other retreats, we also go into it in a lot of detail to be able to understand the 10 fetters. But here in this course, what I do is I help you to understand the 3 poisons or the 3 unwholesome roots or the 3 fires. This is a high level description of what's going on in the unenlightened mind, where the 10 fetters are the most deepest detail of understanding of what's going on. So understanding at this level will help you understand the pollutions that are in the mind and what's hindering you from experiencing the peace and the joy that is in the enlightened mental state. But also it's hindering you from experiencing harmonious relationships too. Because as long as these are in your mind, you're going to find it really challenging to have harmonious relationships, because you're going to be making decisions through these, and therefore you're going to be challenged in having certain struggles in your day-to-day life. So as I'm teaching you this, just like always, you don't believe any of the teachings that I share. That when I teach you and I'm sharing this with you, you're going to hear me talk about things that you're experiencing in your day-to-day life, and you'll be able to see that what I'm sharing with you is the actual truth. So as we go, just like always, you're more than welcome to ask any and all questions that you like. So I'm going to share with you from a high level what craving, anger, and ignorance is. We refer to these as the three poisons, or the three unwholesome roots, or the three fires, and then there are solutions to these, which we refer to as the three wholesome roots. So craving, desire, attachment, this is those selfish desires, the mind longing and yearning. It's like an unquenchable thirst. The mind just chases and chases and chases and chases, and it thinks that something external is going to provide some lasting satisfaction. So it chases after these things, and it thinks that if I just get this thing, everything will be perfect. So the mind might think like, oh, I know what I need to make life better. I need a boyfriend or girlfriend. That's going to make everything better. Let me chase after that for a while. Or the mind might think, I know what'll make everything better. It's money. Let me chase after money for a while. That'll make everything better. Let me chase that, right? Or it's a new house, a bigger house, a nicer car, more jewelry. The mind is just going to have this unquenchable thirst of thinking there's something external. And it's not that you might not decide to have some of these things, because some of these things you'll have in your life, but it's when you chase after them. It's when you falsely think that these external things are going to provide lasting satisfaction, that's the craving, desire, attachment. That you're going to need a job. You're going to potentially need a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or life partner, things like this. You're going to need a job. You're going to need money. You're going to need these kinds of things. But it's when the mind falsely believes that these external things are going to provide lasting satisfaction that it becomes a craving, that the mind chases after it. And then it forms its internal feelings based on this thing, that if you get what you want, you get happy. And if you don't get what you want, you get angry or sad or frustrated or some other discontent feeling. So this craving, desire, attachment is like an unquenchable thirst. The mind falsely believing something external is going to provide lasting satisfaction. It's like the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases and chases and chases. And if it gets what it wants, it gets happy, excited, elated. But if it doesn't get what it wants, it gets those painful feelings. One of those painful things that the mind can experience is the anger. That's the next one. The anger, the bitterness, the hostility, the aggression. This is the mind having those painful feelings because its cravings aren't getting fulfilled. And in the unenlightened state, the mind will falsely believe that this anger, this frustration, this agitation, this annoyance is coming from other people. So the mind will either push people away or push the situation away. This is called aversion, where you might have pushed people away out of your life, thinking that that's going to solve things for you. But it didn't. That's why you still get annoyed and frustrated and agitated or irritated. Or you might become bitter and harsh and hostile towards people. In your intentions, your speech, and your actions. That's the mind almost being like an animal, kind of growling and roaring at another human being, thinking that if I can just fear this person into doing things my way, getting my cravings fulfilled, everything will feel great and I'll get what I want because I've just feared this person into doing what I want them to do. So your intentions, your speech, and your actions might become unskillful. Or the third thing you might do when this anger is arising is you might put your expectations on people and trying to control them to do things your way. And as long as you're doing these kinds of things, you can't live harmoniously with all beings because you're pushing people away or you're pushing a situation away. You're being bitter, harsh, and hostile. And those people might choose to leave out of your life. Or if you put your expectations on people, they'll feel pressured, like you're trying to control them. And now they might choose to leave out of your life because of that. So this anger is the mind trying to get its cravings fulfilled. And because it's not getting its cravings fulfilled, it gets angry and frustrated and agitated. And now when it's feeling those uncomfortable feelings, oftentimes what the mind does is it craves some more. Because its lack of wisdom, it thinks that the way to get back to something that's somewhat comfortable is to get some pleasant feelings. So if you ever got home from a hard day at work and you turned to alcohol or drugs or something like this, or you turn to shopping, or you turn to sex or something like this, this is the mind trying to get to those pleasant feelings, because that's the only way that the mind knows how to do it. That it doesn't understand what the real problem is, which is the craving, desire, attachments. The mind, when it's angry, when it's frustrated, when it's agitated, when it's annoyed, when it's feeling something uncomfortable, with its lack of wisdom, the only way that it knows how to get back to something that's comfortable is to crave something more. So this is where people might gamble, have drugs or alcohol. They might turn to sex or other things like this, or they might turn to emotional eating or shopping or things like this in order to get some kind of pleasant feelings. But that just keeps the problem going on and on and on and on and on. And where all of this is coming from is the ignorance or the unknowing of true reality, where the mind lacks wisdom. It just doesn't understand what it doesn't understand. It has misunderstandings. It has confusion. It firmly believes that other people are causing you to be angry. The mind firmly believes that in the unenlightened state. And this is the ignorance or the unknowing of true reality. So while we call it craving, anger, and ignorance, it's really because of ignorance that craving and anger continues to exist in the mind. The mind is ignorant of the Four Noble Truths. It doesn't have wisdom of the Eightfold Path. It doesn't understand the natural laws of existence. It doesn't understand the natural law of karma. All of these natural laws that the mind doesn't understand, that's the unknowing of true reality, or the ignorance. So as long as the ignorance is in there, then the craving and anger is going to continue to exist. So that's why I teach students when they first start learning with me, don't believe anything I say, because you need to get to wisdom. If you can get to wisdom and you can see the truth, then you can eliminate your craving and anger. But as long as the ignorance or the unknowing of true reality is in there, you'll continue to experience craving and anger over and over and over again. So this is these teachings from a high level. And normally what I do is I now go into each one of these in a lot more detail so you understand what they are. But instead, what I'm going to do to kind of abbreviate this is I'm just going to go right into the solutions and help you understand what's targeting these to eliminate them. What's targeting the craving, desire, attachment is the breathing mindfulness meditation and generosity. It's really the Eightfold Path, the entire Eightfold Path that you need to practice in order to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. But in terms of what's really targeting it and almost kind of surgically removing it, it's breathing mindfulness meditation and generosity. Because with craving, desire, attachment in the mind is becoming selfish. It's holding on to things really tight. So that breathing mindfulness meditation, when your mind's moving off the breath, you're training the mind to let go, let go, let go. So if 10, 20, 30 times during your meditation you had to let go, let go, let go, this is really good for you. This is really helpful. And you would like to be doing this 2 or 3 times a day for 30 minutes or more to train your mind to let go, let go, let go, so that in day-to-day life you're more easily able to let go. And then you use generosity to do the same thing. Because with generosity, you're training the mind to live open-handedly and be joyful in giving and sharing with other people. Because with craving, desire, attachment, your mind will become selfish and you'll hold on to things really tightly. What we tend to think in the unenlightened state with a lack of wisdom and not understanding how important generosity is we think that, okay, if I spend 3 hours doing this, I want this in return. Or if I spend 3 days doing this, I want this in return for myself, right? Where what generosity is training you to do is to give and share without any expectation of anything in return, such as your time, your effort, your energy, and your resources. And you're going to need to learn how to practice generosity with the people around you. You can start with little simple things. When you're walking into the store and you see someone's behind you, you could hold the door for them and let them go before you. But remember, you need to practice generosity without any expectation of anything in return. If you're standing there holding the door, expecting them to say thank you, and they don't say thank you, you'll be frustrated. You'll be agitated and annoyed because your mind's craving a thank you. You're still wanting something out of this situation. So if you're practicing pure generosity, you need to practice to the point where you have no expectation of anything, not even a thank you. Because there's going to be some people who walk through the door and say thank you, right? But there's other people who aren't. Because of the universal truth of impermanence. Not everybody is going to say thank you. Some people are going to be so deep in thought about what it is they need to buy out of this store. They've got some home improvement project that they're working on, and they're just so into that thought, they're not even paying attention that someone's holding the door for them, right? This is impermanence. Whereas if you crave permanence, where you want everybody to say thank you to you, you'll be frustrated and annoyed when you don't get what you want. So you need to practice generosity all the way to the point that you're not even expecting a thank you. You're not craving it and desiring it, right? So you can practice generosity in many different ways. You can share your time, your effort, your energy, and your resources more than is strictly required in any given situation without any expectation of anything in return. And you would like to do this frequently, right? If it was a matter of, say, donating $500 once a year, or donating $1 a day, you would like to donate $1 a day, because every time you're having to let go, this is really good for your mind. So frequently letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. If you have some clothes that come out of the washing machine and you see that they're ripped and torn and you get frustrated about that, this is your mind craving your clothes to be permanent. So maybe you need to share your clothes. Maybe you need to give away some of your clothes, and that's going to help you to train your mind to let go. Or if you have certain jewelry that you wear and you're really attached to this jewelry, maybe you need to share it with some other people. Let them wear it for a couple of weeks, or maybe even give some of it away, right? So if you practice generosity, it's going to train your mind to let go. And you would like to be practicing this frequently. So these are the two things that are targeting your craving, desire, attachment. But if you were only doing these two things, you wouldn't be able to eliminate your craving, desire, attachment. You still need all that other stuff we talked about with the Eightfold Path. But these are the two things that are targeting it. Then what's targeting the anger, the hatred, the ill will, the aggression, the hostility, the bitterness, the resentment, the aversion of pushing things away. This is the loving kindness meditation. And this is something I'm going to teach you tomorrow. I'm going to teach you loving kindness meditation, and we're going to be doing it all the way through the course, where you're going to be able to essentially rewire the mind to be loving and kind. It's a very different meditation. It's different than what we've been doing so far. It's going to essentially rewire your mind. Not in one day, not in 1 week, but over time, it's going to gradually wear away the bitterness and the hostility, where you have a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. And now, when your mental state is such as you're interested in seeing all beings be well, your intentions, your speech, and your actions can emanate from that loving kindness, because it's not just the loving kindness meditation that's going to allow you to transform your mind. You're going to need to go out into the world and practice loving kindness in your day-to-day life. If you were just meditating and that's all, your mind's not going to be completely transformed. Like this craving, anger, and ignorance, you need to be able to practice in such a way that you've eradicated your anger. Because if you're meditating, but you go out in the world and you're bitter and harsh and hostile, you haven't transformed your mind. So the meditation is like a way to fill up your gas tank, and then you go out into the world through your intention, speech, and actions, and you become loving and kind. This is what's going to transform your relationships. Sometimes in our relationships, when we know that mom or dad or others are bitter, harsh, and hostile, we really want them to change. We want to go out into the world and change other people. We want our parents to change, or our brothers and sisters. We want them to change. But this isn't how you create improvement in your life, because you can't change other people. What you would like to do is transform your own mind by you being more loving and more kind in all situations, and you interact that way through your intention, speech, and actions. This is where your relationships will drastically improve, and you'll see that you can transform your mind and you can transform your relationships, where you can get to all harmonious relationships. By the time you get to enlightenment, you don't have any bitter or hostile relationships whatsoever. All your relationships are completely at ease and blossoming. And you do this through transforming your own mind. So there's the work that you do in meditation on a day-to-day basis, but then you go out into the world and practice loving kindness through your intention, speech, and actions as well. Then the last one, the whole reason why all of this is actually occurring is because of the ignorance or the unknowing of true reality, this lack of wisdom, this confusion, this misunderstanding, this misperceptions. The mind just doesn't understand how things truly work in the world. It doesn't understand the natural laws of existence. And because the mind doesn't understand these natural laws, it struggles and has difficulties. It has a lack of wisdom of what's truly transpiring in the world and how to make wise decisions. So the way that you eradicate this ignorance is through cultivation of wisdom. There's a certain amount of intellectual learning that you need to do, where you're examining and investigating teachings like the Three Universal Truths, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the Five Precepts, the Brahma Viharas, the Natural Law of Karma, the Seven Factors of Enlightenment, doing extensive meditation training, and then eliminating the 10 fetters. You're doing this intellectual learning, but then you're doing the reflection to independently verify whether it's true or false, and then you're practicing the teachings, integrating them into your life. So the eradication of ignorance, which includes the cultivation of wisdom, it's not just an intellectual pursuit where you could intellectually understand the teachings, but if you're not practicing them, there's still ignorance in the mind. This is where, like, we know kind of as we're growing up that it's unwise to use drugs and alcohol. We know this intellectually, but we still do it because we still have ignorance. We haven't awoken with enough wisdom that we're making the wise decision every single time to not use drugs and alcohol, for example, because we still have ignorance. We can intellectually know something is unwise, but we still do it because of the ignorance and the unknowing of true reality. So by the time you fully awake and you eradicate this ignorance, not only have you cultivated wisdom intellectually, and through your reflections, you've reflected and saw that it's true, but you're actually practicing it on a day-to-day basis as well. And that's what's going to fully eradicate the ignorance. And when you eradicate ignorance, that gives you the wisdom of how to eliminate craving and anger. Because as long as there's ignorance in the mind, then the mind's going to keep experiencing the struggles and difficulties over and over and over again. So we say it's craving, anger, and ignorance. But as I mentioned, it's because of ignorance that craving and anger continues to exist in the world and continues to exist in your mind. So if you would like to eradicate your craving and anger to be able to get to peace and joy, you need to first work on eradicating your ignorance. And that's why people come to the temple, to learn from a teacher. That's why people read books. That's why people spend time to talk in private conversations with a teacher, because you need to arise more and more wisdom. Because it's one thing learning in a class like this, but it's a whole other thing relating it to your day-to-day activities. So I can teach you generally like this in a class, but you're going to need personal guidance at different times too, to talk with the teacher and relate what we're talking about to specific challenges that you're having in day-to-day life. So that's how you eradicate this ignorance, is you arise this wisdom through learning and investigating the teachings, through reflecting on them to verify them, and then through practicing them. And then, just to summarize what we've been talking about, is these three poisons, or these three unwholesome roots, or these three fires. This is called craving, anger, and ignorance. Some people refer to it as greed, hatred, and delusion. So you might see this in other places, or you might even see desire, ill will, and confusion. This is one of the ways people refer to it. There's these poisons, or these unwholesome roots, or these fires, but there's also these antidotes, or these wholesome roots. There's generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. So what you're doing on the path is you're applying the Eightfold Path and all these targeted teachings and techniques to gradually bring down your craving, your anger, and your ignorance. You're gradually depleting and diminishing that. And then you're gradually increasing your generosity, your loving kindness, and your wisdom, so that you can start practicing these qualities more and more. Because whenever you make decisions through craving, anger, and ignorance, it's going to lead to unwholesome results, or unwholesome karma. That's what it's going to lead to. Because when you're making decisions through your own selfish desires, it's going to lead to unwholesome results. If you're making decisions through anger, you can see the truth for yourself that it leads to unwholesome results. And when you make decisions through ignorance, it's going to lead to unwholesome results, or unwholesome karma. But when you're practicing generosity, where you're giving and sharing with others, there's no unwholesome results. It's only wholesome results. Your mind is being trained to let go. you're enhancing the quality of your mind. When you're practicing loving kindness, which is the genuine interest in seeing all beings be well, it's going to produce wholesome results, or wholesome karma. And then the same thing with wisdom. When you're practicing wisdom and you're making wise decisions, it's only going to produce wholesome results. And you can see this for yourself. So that's why we refer to them as the wholesome roots, because they produce wholesome karma, or wholesome results in your life. Okay, so you're gradually decreasing the unwholesome roots and you're gradually increasing the wholesome roots. Okay, so this is kind of an abbreviated version of this talk. Do you guys have any questions on any of these or any of the solutions? For those of you guys online, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or you can raise your hand in Zoom and ask any questions that you like. Let me just check here. Okay. All right. I'm not seeing any questions anywhere. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to end class here by thanking all of you guys for joining me for the day. Thank you for being interested to learn the teachings and be interested to understand how to create harmonious relationships, because it's no fun having disgruntled and agitated and frustrated relationships. I'm sure you've been frustrated in several of your relationships and not know how to actually solve it. So what I've been doing today is giving you a baseline foundation to understand how to train the mind just a little bit, so that now the rest of the course we can go in and talk about all the different relationships and how to actually get to harmony. But if you didn't understand this, you wouldn't understand all the other things I have to share with you. So that's why I spend time to establish this foundation that I did today. And now tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going forward in the class and I'm going to teach you loving kindness meditation. That's the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow. We're not actually going to meditate right away. I'm going to teach you loving kindness meditation first. And then after I teach it to you, then I'll actually do it with you. So we'll actually learn something before we actually do the meditation. And then after that, we'll learn this topic of identifying your cravings, cultivating non-craving and analysis of the mind, because you need to eliminate your attachments. You need to eliminate your cravings, desires, attachments. That's what's producing those discontent feelings. And as long as you're angry and frustrated and annoyed, you're going to find it very challenging to have fulfilling relationships and satisfying relationships. So I'm going to teach you how to identify what's going on in your mind. What are the specific cravings, so that then you can actually work to eradicate them. Because in addition to what I've taught you so far as generalized training, there's actually something you can do to almost surgically remove these cravings from the mind. And I'm going to teach you how to do that tomorrow with this particular topic. And then after our lunch, I'm going to teach you cultivating healthy mental states, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. These are 4 healthy mental states that you need to cultivate in order to be able to have harmonious relationships. So this is what I'm going to be sharing with you tomorrow. And we're going to be doing loving kindness meditation, not only in the morning, each morning, but also in the afternoons as well. So you guys will get plenty of practice with training your mind with loving kindness meditation. So enjoy your evening, whatever you decide to do, and perhaps we'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Be well and take care, okay? Take care. See you guys online as well.